just finding what you're interested in. That will drive you longer than the job. The jobs will come and go and bosses will come and go. But as long as you find what interests you, you'll continue to thrive.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Path Found, the podcast about the real, messy, unexpected journeys that lead us to the work we love. I'm Monica Argandonia, and every week I talk with someone whose story proves there's no single right way to build a meaningful life. What if you could make business better, not just for the bottom line, but for the planet? That question has been at the center of today's guest's entire career. Today, I'm sitting down with someone I've had the privilege of knowing for a few years now. She's a third-generation Southern California Edison family, a Cal Poly grad with a self-designed master's degree, and a sustainability leader who has literally written half of her own job descriptions because the roles she envisioned didn't exist yet. She's worked everywhere, from IBM to architecture firms, from a Philadelphia nonprofit to an engineering consultancy, and today she's heading up sustainability at one of the world's most recognized tech companies, Zoom. She is Holly Hill, and her story is one of vision, grit, and just enough willingness to leap before she could see the other side. Holly, welcome. I am so happy you're here.
Hi, Monica. It's so good to see you. Fun to hang out with you in a studio setting.
So like I start everybody's, what were you like growing up, middle school, high school?
As a child, well, I think I was very active. I would ride my tricycle all around the driveway. I remember doing that. I was the baby of 5. And so, yeah, my older brothers picked on me a lot. So I grew to be a little bit tougher. So that was always fun. I used to play teacher. I remember that specifically. Growing up as a child, I would have a whiteboard and a chalkboard and I would play teacher and all the students were in front of me. And I would dictate to them what they had to do. So that was a fun time, I remember. And we always went camping. So I remember being out in the environment a bunch and just enjoying being out in nature.
Were you a good student then?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was a good student, but the feedback was always, she's a great student, but she's a little chatty. She's a little chatty in class and she distracts the other students.
That's so funny. I got the same criticism. Yeah. Every report card. She's great, but talks too much.
Yeah. So social. We're social right? beings. It's fine.
So, all right. So you're in high school. Do you kind of know what you want to do? Is college on your radar?
College was definitely on my radar. I never wavered from that. Like, that was my next step. Neither of my parents were college graduates. And so I was like, no, I'm going. I have a plan and I don't know what I want to study, but I definitely know I want to go and get a degree. And that was definitely intentional. Yeah.
Okay. So where do you go? How do you figure it out?
So I remember getting awards in junior high and high school, and that opened doors for different applications and different scholarships and things like that. And then when I started seeing where those led, it was the school was kind of the tail end, if that makes any sense. So I would see there was National Scholar Federation, for example, or something like that. And then you would fill out that form and it was, do you want to send your resume or your application to these different schools? And I was like, oh, yeah, those could be on my radar. And then you start looking at the different schools. My French teacher was actually very instrumental in helping me, now that I think about it. He said, you make a long list and you make your short list and then you make your absolute, your guaranteed list. And so he pushed me on the aspirational list and, to apply at Rice University and, have the long shots and everything. Right. And then the other schools were middle of the range and then the ones you knew you were going to get into. So yeah, reflecting back now, yeah, it was him that really helped me formulate a plan for that.
So where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you major?
Industrial technology. Actually, I started in environmental engineering and I still show that off to my boys because I got into an engineering program at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And so I started in environmental engineering and then the physics was just too hard for me. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to pursue that. And then a bunch of us were interested in this industrial engineering and it was just kind of evolving. And it was bridging kind of the tactical world of packaging and marketing with the engineering side. And so it opened up kind of a new arena, a new field for a lot of us that were in the environmental engineering program.
How did you even find that? Like, how did you pick that?
I like the technical nature of engineering, but I didn't necessarily want to sit behind a desk or go into environmental law or, design levers or anything like that. So when just looking at the course catalog, literally, like I like this technical. I don't want to lean towards the liberal arts. I want to do the technical work, but I want to broaden that a little bit more. And so that's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you stuck with that, graduated in 4 years.
Yeah. And then stayed there and got my master's.
Oh, get straight through.
Straight through.
On the same thing.
So my master's, my graduate degree is environmental studies, actually.
Okay.
So I layered on the environment on top of the business and the engineering.
What do you think brought about the environmental piece?
I always knew I wanted to do that. I always wanted, I can't say always, but I would say in high school, I just had this aha moment. And I was like, business spends so much money. And imagine if all of their money was helping the environment. Imagine if those business decisions could help the environment. Imagine if I could parlay that, to be better business and better environmental choices. And so when I did the industrial engineering route, that was the business side of the house. And then I created my own master's program, marrying the two with the environmental studies on top of it.
So when were you in high school?
91 to 95.
So you were ahead of your time. I mean,
there was no sustainability program.
There was no sustainability.
Yes.
There was very little environment.
Right.
It's not like people there weren't a lot of colleges who offered those degrees.
No. And even when I looked for a master's, the only ones, there was one in Australia that looked promising. And then there was one in a European country that looked amazing. But that was it. There was no, even now, it's hard to find a doctorate in sustainability. So the master's was fun to create. And yes, I was trying to get ahead of what I wanted to do, basically.
That's so interesting. Like you actually figured out, this is what I want. Now I got to design it.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it's funny you say that because I think it is a theme, because I actually have written 4 of my 8 job descriptions.
Okay. All right. So
I'm jumping ahead.
All right. So you graduate.
Yeah.
So you graduate your master's. And then what?
Then there was a recruiting fair on Cal Poly's campus, and IBM wanted to hire me. They gave me a great offer. Housing, move up to the Bay Area, all of that. And so I started in their real estate organization. It was environmental compliance at that time.
Huh.
So that's where the degree took me, which was fine and great, but I knew I didn't want to do that long term. So,
and you had no experience in real estate.
No, that's just where it sits.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was just the compliance of
correct
policy piece.
Correct.
Okay.
So
how long were you there?
Almost 7 years.
Oh, wow.
That's been my longest job, actually. Still, the first one out of college. Yeah.
All right. So did you like it?
I did like it, but I didn't want to clean up anymore. I mean, I was raised with, big business is bad. Big business is bad, right? Like in the whole environmental movement of the 70s. And then to come to a company and they're manufacturing chips. And yes, they're not necessarily dumping into soil, but they're just doing less harm, right? So how do you get ahead of that? So I found myself when I was in the environmental compliance space, cleaning up the messes. The pollution is happening and then you filter it on the tail end. Or, you're generating hazardous waste and then it goes to an offsite facility, but the waste is still being generated. And that's what was frustrating me. I didn't want to be on the cleanup side. I wanted to be on the front end side to design that waste and that pollution out to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you start looking for something else.
So I picked up a side project at IBM doing LEED certification for one of our facilities in San Jose. And it's called EBOM, Existing Buildings, Operations and Maintenance. And that was the certification project. And I just kind of did it on the side and got really excited about it. And then I saw a job opening at an architectural firm for somebody with EBOM experience. I applied and I got it, which was completely unexpected because I was going from environmental compliance at a manufacturing plant, basically to an architecture firm. Very pivotal time, I would say, right? Like that was, I did not expect to get that position. And I did. So it was cool.
So, all right. So now what are you doing in that job?
Oh,
in the architecture.
As the architecture. Yeah. I was sustainable design manager. So I led the building group that did the energy modeling for them and did the LEED certifications for them. Yeah, that was a great dream job. Yeah.
How long did you do that?
4 years.
Why did you leave?
We moved to Philly for my husband's job opportunity. So we moved back east. So I had to leave it. We can't go job by job. It'll go forever.
No, but I think it's important. Okay, so now you're in a new city, no connections.
New city, no connections. And I tried to navigate that same path. I tried to do the architectural arena. I tried to do, there are amazing architecture firms in Philly. and environmental consulting firms, and I wasn't able to get a job in there. So I ended up at GBCI, the Green Building Certification Institute, doing LEED certifications.
Okay.
Which I didn't mind, but I found myself pigeonholed because now you're just doing buildings. You're not doing large scale developments. You're not doing sustainability more broadly. You're just focusing on this LEED certification checklist for these incoming projects. So I knew the system. I grew the system. It was fine. It was great. It was remote, so that was excellent. And then we got the opportunity to come back to the West Coast, and so I changed jobs again.
All right. So you come now what?
Now I go to engineering companies. So I had a connection at an engineering company called Integral Group, and she brought me on as a lead consultant because I had worked with her previously at HMC Architects. So that connection absolutely paid off. I was out of my element, and I would say that each of these job moves, I was out of my element by at least probably 10 to 15%. You can do the job up to a certain point, but then you always push a little bit. And so from going from the nonprofit of GBCI to an engineering firm was very different. And so I liked the diversity of projects, as now I'm seeing all the projects come in. I'm working with many of them. And then we're doing big scale projects. So net zero developments and trying to do zero energy or zero waste or zero water for the Levi's facility, up in the Bay Area or something like that. So that really broadened my horizons and pushed me technically for sure. Yeah.
So what do you think it was about you that, because I've had this conversation with other women on the podcast, how men will apply for jobs that they don't have any experience for sometimes. They just, I'm going to apply. And women have to check off all the boxes.
Yeah.
But you really, you just jumped in.
I did. And the scariest one, I would say, was probably going to the architecture firm, because these are degreed architects. I mean, these are people that have been doing architecture for 20 years. And who am I to come in and say, hey, you need to do a reflective roof. And, oh, by the way, you need more insulation in this wall so that it's a better performing building. Who am I to come in and change design standards when I'm not an architect? And so I feel like I have always pushed to do that, to try to push myself and push the role to do what I want to do and make it work for me, and just go for it, really.
Did you have people helping you? Did you have mentors?
Yeah.
Support?
I always felt that people wanted me to be successful. Very fortunate with that. Every manager I have had has really been helpful and navigating upward for me and very much guiding me, and so I think that's been very instrumental. I have not, knock on wood, I've been very fortunate with the leadership I've had. Yeah.
Okay. So you're in this engineering firm.
In the engineering firm, go to a small consulting firm next, and then saw another, what I felt was dream job open up. And that was Southern California Edison. And I am third generation Southern California Edison. So my father worked there. My grandfather worked there. There's a lot of history in our family, a lot of pride in, providing the electricity distribution network of Southern California. And, there's placards, and I've been to the dinners and all of that. And so they had a sustainability role open here in Rosemead. And so I applied for it and I got it, and it was great. It was awesome. But there wasn't support. There wasn't support for the role in how I wanted to do it. So I found myself there for 4 years, but I had the same project plan. It wasn't moving forward. And I needed resources. I needed budget. I need people that were sincerely wanting to move this path forward with me to be successful. So then I applied for another job. Yeah.
So you talked about earlier, you mentioned writing your own job descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen in all of these jobs?
I would say, a half of them at least.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just kind of creating that role again,
Exactly.
because it's such a new field.
Yes.
So you stayed at Edison a few years, and
then and COVID hit, right? And so then it was, okay, everybody go home. And so we were working from home. And again, just some self-reflection. Like I could take this job into retirement, but would I be fulfilled? And I realized I had more to give. So although the company didn't need me to give more, I wanted to give more. And so it was time to move on. And so I applied for this position at Zoom and fell in love with it. And so I have amazing leadership. I've got amazing autonomy. I get to drive the program and build the case for it and then continue to execute on it. So I love the balance of strategic thinking. So, every year you're looking at the plan, you're understanding what the needs are, what the customers want, and then actually doing the due diligence and the work to get it done. Again, speaking with you, going back to, I guess I do like the technical and the strategic at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fun.
Do you think your degrees prepared you for all these jobs?
I don't think the content was there yet.
Yeah.
The work I do now was not in a classroom. It was not available in a classroom. Could we build a curriculum that speaks to the job now? Absolutely. But it wasn't built at that point. I mean, the environmental compliance, maybe, but I wasn't going into policy and law. So I feel like the backbone and the job that helped me the most was actually IBM, because it gave me the ISO compliance. It gave me an understanding of the regulations, and those environmental regulations I can always point to in all of the positions I've had as that experience. Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of people relate sustainability to Zoom.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So what does it mean, like sustainability and Zoom?
Yeah. So Zoom does have buildings and operations. So even though we are a SaaS company, we have, I want to say 22 operations around the world. So sustainability at Zoom has kind of 3 pillars. Number 1 is customer engagement. So what do our customers ask of us? Are they asking us to set a net zero target? Do they want to know our carbon footprint per call? Like what does our customer base look like? What are our investors asking about? So engaging with customers, having those conversations, educating them about what we do, that's one pillar. The second one is reporting and disclosure. So looking at all of our data and our metrics, making sure it's accurate, making sure it's ready to be audited. That's another pillar. We are evaluating regulations globally to understand what that looks like as a global multi-billion-dollar company. So that's always changing. And then the last pillar is operations and execution. So reducing waste in our own offices, choosing to do compost, all of our data tracking from our own facilities, collecting our energy, water, waste bills, making sure all of our site coordinators are doing that. If we have any on-site events, minimizing waste for that, choosing recycled materials. So there is a global footprint. It is smaller than one might think, but yes, there is a global footprint. Yeah.
So you love your job.
Yes.
Is this it for a while? What's on the horizon for you?
It's going to be really big or it's going to be really small. So I've been at every size company, and there's pros and cons to all of it, right? It's nice to have the formality of a big company. It's also challenging to work in a bureaucracy, and a startup is similar, right? Like you have to do so much in a startup. You have to be the jack of all trades. I think next is 2 options. I feel like it's going even bigger to like a Roche or a Genentech or, a massive company that has a large team related to sustainability. And they have a fully built out program, and it's a well-oiled machine. The other idea is to go to a nonprofit like the Nature Conservancy or NRDC and be a support person there and use my skills to help them maybe even quantify their own impact. That's what I'm toying with, but
not for a while.
Not for a while.
You're good.
I'm so good. Yeah.
So you knew very early on what you wanted to do, and you found, you kind of designed this thing in college and grad school and really carried that through all these different workspaces, which I think is unusual. I mean, I think people don't necessarily find that. Is it just because you kind of figured it out early and you think, yeah, this is it and no question about it? Do you think you just didn't think to go somewhere else or do something else? Like, what was that? Because
I feel like the backbone theme has always been there, right? Like using business for good, right? Like that backbone theme has carried me through. But when you talk about the sectors, they're so different. The building sector, the nonprofit sector, architecture, compliance, they're all business doing good.
Right.
And it's that theme. but I've been able to do it in so many different veins. That's what's been fun. Like it's always different. The conversation is always different. The customer base is always different. The client's always different. So that keeps me motivated. It's the same theme. It's a different conversation, right? Yeah.
So what do you have two young boys in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you telling them as they're trying to figure out the path they want to take in colleges and careers?
Again, going back to finding your passion. And so I feel like my job as a parent is to help them find what they are passionate about. And it doesn't have to be a full stop. It doesn't have to be it's just one thing. But I feel like people are successful if they're living their dream, if they are actually doing the work that makes them care and love and brings them joy. And so if they can find that, then I feel like I've been successful. That's also my fear, right? If they don't find it. Because I have several friends and they say the same thing. They're like, I never found that, Holly. I never found that job. I never found that passion of what I want to do. And so I hope I can expose them to enough things that they can find that. And again, they're young. I mean, they might not find it till they're 30 and 40.
Right.
But.
And I think one of the concerns and something that keeps coming up is AI.
Mm-hmm.
Are you concerned about AI in your career?
I'm concerned about the perception of AI. So I've been using AI and it is straight up incorrect. What I've been curating, the prompts I've been giving it, and the information I'm receiving are completely wrong with what is truly happening. And that's what makes me nervous, is because if people take that information without a human with expertise and experience reviewing it, then all of that false information gets disseminated. So it takes that level of human intervention, and not just any intervention, an actual keen eye with very knowledgeable experience to then, interpret the AI results. So what worries me is that everybody's saying, yeah, just use AI, just use AI, just use AI. And I'm like, you can't just use AI, like I am getting incorrect dates on regulatory filings from AI. I mean, black and white, CARB is telling me one thing and AI is telling me something different. So I don't worry about it for my job. I worry about it for societal, impacts more so. For my job, as long as I can have that layer of exposure to it before it becomes public or whatever we're doing with it, then I'm comfortable with it. But if I don't get to see it before it's going out the door, then yes, there might be some concerns. Yeah.
You've also worked in nonprofit, you worked in corporate, you said all these different sizes. Are there pros and cons to those?
Yeah. So again, the big behemoths, they give structure, give formality, there's rules, there's policies and everything. I will say the one company where I felt you knew where the ship was heading, everybody was on board, 385,000 people worldwide, was actually IBM, where you had clear understanding of the goals and the priorities of the company. Granted, this was 20 years ago, but it actually felt very cohesive for its size. I've also been at an 18-person engineering company where it's very disparate and there is no formality to the HR policies or who's taking vacation or who's managing what projects. So I think there is something to be said for the large corporations and how they've learned to manage and evolve over time. And then the newbies coming up, right? Like everybody wants to be an entrepreneur on a startup. Well, there's a growing pain. After you're a startup, you have to go through the teenage years. And you do have to build out things that employees can rely upon, or emission reduction plans, or whatever that nuance is. But you're going to have to come to that point if you want to continue to grow. And then once you get to those growing pains, hopefully you're successful again. So there's evolutions and there's ebbs and flows into when companies are successful in different times in their maturity. And you jump into what feels right for you, So yeah.
And you also said your goal is to make business better. Do you think business can be better? Have you achieved that?
No, you've never achieved it. I don't feel like, and that's another driver, right? Like I can do more, I want to do more. I want to expose leadership to more ideas. And there's people willing, I mean, we've got site coordinators in the Netherlands that are doing amazing work and they're going out of their way to make sure everything gets composted or something, So we can always do better. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sustainability, the term has become very political. Has that affected you? Job options, your role?
Directly, no. Our business is driven by customers and what the customers want. Luckily, our customer base is international. So we still get tons of pressure to set a science-based target, to reduce our emissions, to evaluate water for our data center use and everything like that. So there's a lot of pressure still for us to be responsible citizens. So it has not affected me directly, but I do have very close sustainability colleagues who have been let go in other companies. So it's happening, and people are feeling it, but we are in a certain spot where we are still carrying ourselves accountable and holding ourselves accountable.
Pendulum will swing again. Right?
Exactly. Right. Yes.
So what advice would you give just a college student right now who's kind of trying to figure out, college and majors and what to do during that time and then graduating and how to find a job? Because I think, you told me the story about you posted a job and got something like 800 applications in one day.
In 72 hours, we had 834 applications.
Yeah.
Overqualified, insane.
And I think, they're getting frustrated. They graduate and they apply and who knows where those land.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for those young people coming out of college?
So on the front end, your earlier question, just finding what you're interested in, because I think that will drive you longer than the job, right? So the jobs will come and go and bosses will come and go. But as long as you find what interests you, you'll continue to thrive. On the second piece, the jobs, what I have seen is just the networking. The networking has to pay off because it's just the connections and the networking and who you know. Even all of us now in our 40s, we are talking to each other about jobs. Those that have laid off, they're reaching out to, we're reaching out to each other. It's not an open job on LinkedIn or anything like that. I've been lucky that I have gotten jobs via the traditional path and LinkedIn openings and stuff like that. But I think that is becoming increasingly rare.
But even networking, because I tell them that also, but it's really hard to connect to people. I mean, nobody responds to emails. Give a little bit more. How do you network?
Yeah. So when I came back from Philly, I found the local organization in Los Angeles, the U.S. Green Building Council, and they have many, many programs. But I would say finding a local organization that you're interested in, and it might not become your career network, but at least you have a friend base that's going through the same thing. Right. And that becomes harder and harder as you graduate from college, And also, I would say it's getting out there and going to events and activities. Yeah. And, the different programs we have.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's so hard. I mean, I don't want to minimize that is absolutely hard work. And again, experienced professionals, it is a full-time job to find another job. So it is very challenging for new grads as well,
Right.
I still think the big four want to take up, the young, ambitious graduates, the PwCs and the EYs and stuff like that. And that's a great starting point because then you can figure out, too, what you want to hone in on.
So going back, when you were in college and maybe you have no advice for yourself because you did it right. But what would you, knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell your 21-year-old self?
I would probably say good job staying a fifth year because I loved college and I loved the campus and I loved the central coast of California. And so I was like, why would I leave? Yes, I'm graduating, but why the heck would I leave? So I stayed and just finished the master's in a single year. And that was awesome and great. And, I was getting older. So I would say kudos to that. I would also say I wish I had taken more classes on fundamental environmental work and even law, probably. Not that I wanted to go into it, but just more environmental classes, just for interest, Yeah.
Holly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciated this conversation because, you have been a great mentor and really helped build our students' network. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for making business better.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you so much for listening to Path Found. If anything we talked about today connected with you or gave you a new perspective, we'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared the episode with someone you care about. You can also find us on Instagram at Path Found Podcast. To explore more stories, resources, and ways to get involved, visit KeystoneNetwork.org. This podcast is just one part of the journey. At Keystone Network, we're helping young people and anyone figuring it out as they go build meaningful futures one step at a time. A huge thank you to my podcast editor, David Strutt. You can find him on LinkedIn for helping bring these stories to life, and to Elizabeth Miner at Silvermine Creative for the beautiful artwork and web design. And if you're on your own path, navigating the unknown, making a pivot, or simply figuring it out as you go, just know you're not alone. The route may not be linear, but there's always a way forward. I'm Monica Argandonia, and I'll see you next time on Path Found.